Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Headspace Podcast. It's your boy, HSR.
And it's your boy, Chris Chrome.
And before we jump up into the conversation, let's do a little bit of housekeeping. And if you want, in the description of this video, you can see where to skip ahead to when shit starts. But just to introduce you to what we do here, we go through the album track by track. We have a little conversation about each song, what we felt was significant, etc. We tell you how we're connected to the artist. We sum it up at the end. And yeah, so we're not like the superest scholars of stuff. We just kind of hear the music and go off of that. We Google a bit throughout the week, try to learn what we can. So it's a good chance you coming here are probably more familiar and better acquainted with the artist than we are. But just to give you that kind of heads up, just because some people have certain expectations. Just also before we get into it, I want to give a special thank you to our patrons, Mozart, Linda Williams, and Super Old School 1994. More about that at the end of the video. And I do also love every single time reading our favorite comment from the video of 2 weeks ago, because we skipped last week because we were busy doing something we'll talk about later. But yeah, we ended up taking longer. We didn't record. So 2 weeks ago's video, which was on Drake, Scorpion, in the midst of the Montreal sweat world that we were experiencing. We did a long-ass review, and Randy White was a fucking trooper, and I'm pretty sure he watched most of it because he commented a few times on stuff. But
nice.
I love this fucking comment. Drake's attitude towards women is probably the reason why Rihanna doesn't want to date him. I agree. I mean, he definitely doesn't seem to have the highest level of respect for their autonomy or their independence as displayed on Scorpion, which is fine. There are definitely a whole bunch of people down for that, and that is no disrespect to them and all that. But like, Rihanna appears to want to be an independent woman that don't need no man, and Drake doesn't seem to be supporting that as much as he might let on a little bit. So I can see the conflict. Anyway, that was just my 2 cents on that. I thought it was a great fucking comment because I'm glad other people agree with me on that, you know? Anyway, that's not who we're here to talk about this week, but I do want you to know that we care a lot about your comments, so feel free to leave them as you watch this and correct us and educate us, and whatever feedback you have is super cool. It's super amazing. But this week we are talking about a particular person. It is, Chris, why don't you actually introduce the artist?
Well, for this week's Headspace review, we went with J-Rock's album, and I know we're a little bit late, but Redemption.
Yeah, nothing seemed to want to come out after Scorpion. There's been like no, at least albums I felt like that would be cool. Like Wiz Khalifa dropped an album, but I had a feeling that it wouldn't be like the most well-received thing on this channel based on my understanding of who actually watches this stuff. So maybe I'm wrong, and if you want to see that, you can let us know. But the one that I felt we missed amidst the Kanye month was J-Rock. It came out at like the same day as the Nas album, I believe.
June 15th,
yeah,
if I'm not mistaken.
So like it was like, okay, and now we're getting to it. That doesn't mean I've listened to it a hell of a lot more than maybe I should have. It's just kind of like it just fell into rotation this week, and then I've listened to it maybe a bit more than whatever. But it's good because my impression on this album has actually changed a bit since last week, and I'm kind of glad we didn't do this last week before we went into it. And I say that because I don't know J-Rock like that well. I believe he's the one on Money Trees. I said I didn't like Money Trees. People in the comments got mad at me. Chris said he can't rap which was a foolish thing for Chris to say.
Very foolish.
Back on the Black Panther review. But generally, I wasn't so thrilled with, and I'm saying it because like I don't know J-Rock that well, and my only experiences to him, he seems to be like paired up against like Kendrick, which it's hard to like stand out next to Kendrick, I find, and they have drastically different styles is something I've come to see. So I was a little bit like curious to see what J-Rock's album's going to be about. But going into it, just know that I don't know him that well as an artist. I haven't listened to his past work, and I'm certain, like somebody said, one of his last albums is fucking brilliant, one from a few years back. And I'm going to check it out. I just wanted you guys to be aware that this is really like my first understanding of this guy. I do know stuff like he had a motorcycle accident, and he's kind of like changed his life around, it seems, is what I'm understanding.
Well, that's part of like the title of the album in terms of redemption.
But before that, how do you know him?
I just know he's part of TDE. I've Money Trees, like you said, the Black Panther review as well. I don't really know J-Rock from his other albums. I kind of the only two real like that in terms of that group of TDE, I really only like was fond of like Schoolboy Q and Kendrick.
Yeah. Yeah, just to let you know. Okay,
Yeah.
go on about your redemption.
Oh, I was just saying, like, his album, he named it Redemption in terms of, like, I feel like after the motorcycle accident, he's got something to prove now. Like, he may have almost faced death. He may have almost, like, seen the end. But now he's got, like, a second chance to do something. And throughout, like, I feel like throughout this album, we're going to get different stories and different messages in terms of what he might want to change about himself, what he used to do or whatnot, and, like, the experience of seeing kind of like both sides in a way.
Yeah, I mean, I was personally caught up on the title. I love the idea of redemption. I think, just on a quick side note, one of the scariest things I see on social media is the complete lack of the idea of redemption. And you see this when people pull up somebody's past from like 25 years ago and judge the person that exists today based off of what they did. And it's like, well, if that's the case, redemption's irrelevant, right? So, like, if you're guilty
I'm lost. I apologize.
So redemption is like when you've done something bad,
and then you kind of make up for it,
right?
Well, not like
you
not
change
like
your life,
you change,
and you
be
redeem
a better
yourself,
person.
and
Right,
in a sense,
right.
you live differently and make up for it.
But like, how do you connect that with something
So,
from like
like,
20 years ago? Are you saying like people don't see the redemption you made?
So it doesn't matter to people; they just get caught up. And I think the best example of that was the blackface pictures of the Clintons in the '80s. Like, yeah, they did something stupid in the '80s, but like, I don't see how that makes any bearing on their like level of racism 30 years later, Like, it just means that they may come from a place, but then they also may have evolved and changed and shit. So I think it's like, it's a non-argument. It's kind of just like a way to slander somebody, unless that we can find in like recent examples of like that same kind of behavior, in which case then there's like a pattern that you can paint. But if it's just to be like, look, 35 years ago, they did something bad, so fuck them today. You should know. Like, I'm just kind of like, well, then what about redemption? And that's just the first example I can think of, but I see it all
like
the time.
Dr. Dre, I'm thinking of the Dr. Dre conversation. Like, in terms of, like, D Barnes, and then now, like, him kind of being, like, better, I guess?
Yeah, and then there's another one would be John Lennon, a wife beater who redeemed himself, essentially, by creating great music that tried to save the world and shit. And then, like, JFK was, like, an adulterer. But,
Right.
like, when you really run through, the idea is, like, where does redemption fit in? And this is just stuff I think about a lot lately because, it seems very relevant. Anyway, so the idea of redemption just gets my brain going, and it's cool to, like, understand that he had this motorcycle accident and he's reflected on his life and he's making these changes. And I guess this album's kind of documenting it. And if you look at the cover, it's very simple. It's just him kind of standing there. And I think it's in a wife beater and, like, track pants. And he's just, like, looking up at the sky, and it's super blue.
It's cool how, like, the street light is kind of, like, only singled on him. There's one in the background, but it's, like...
Yeah, no, it's kind of like a spotlight or a halo
exactly,
shining down.
Exactly.
Like, God's saving him, and, like, you just get a lot of cool. I mean, the coloring is nice. Like, it's some non-standard blue.
But I feel like it also gives, like, this kind of, like, gloomy feel to it, though. Like also there's some darkness that we're also gonna get as well. Like, it's not just like this happy kind of like vibe going.
Because you can't have a tale of redemption without some darkness.
Oh, absolutely.
And honestly, I think it kind of like it's why it's such an interesting thing that it starts with something like the Bloodiest.
Wishing they was you, bro. Same niggas that hit you with that I love you, bro.
So it comes in, and we got that beat and everything. And Chris, how do you feel about this track?
I feel like it does come in very strong, and he starts off in terms of like kind of making his point, coming back from the accident or the trauma or the negative that has been going on right now. He's coming back for it with a bigger hit, so that was really cool. He does address his accident, kind of like making that metaphor with being on the back burner and going up against the devil, like he could have died or something like that. That was really cool. But I like when he went, no album, no dope. I was all out of options. I'd rather rob than get a job. Don't insult me. Remember, it was nicks and dimes in '03. And I kind of had to like play on that a little bit and really think about that. And I feel like I'm taking it as he's letting us know like he had no other options, right? So he had to rap, he had to do certain stuff, he had to rob and get money. But I feel like when he goes, don't insult me, it's like he's kind of addressing that, like maybe there's like people who are kind of talking like that, like, oh, I don't want to get a job, I want to do this, and he's trying to show the experience of like, nah, like, you don't really know what that life's about. Don't try to insult what I've already done. I know what that life is. You're just talking shit. Like, you should be doing this and that.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need to live that, you know? And then he kind of lets us know, like, remember back in 03, there was nicks and dimes. Like, we had to do some shit. I like how he's kind of breaking down, you know, like what he had to go through and kind of letting us know who he is a little bit or at least who he was. And then, you know, the chorus comes in and he's like claiming to be the best, and people are claiming to be the best, but he's asking people like, where do you think you're the best? Who do you think you are? You know, like, what is this? Verse 2, I felt like he just hyped himself up. It was a nice follow-up to verse 1. It landed at a 4 on 5. It was a good start to the album.
Yeah. So, like, I realized right off the jump a couple of things on this song. I didn't... Okay, so my biggest grievance is this beat. I don't find it that good to listen to. It really fits the song, and it's strong, and he bounces off of it well or whatever, but, like... I didn't vibe to it. I just kind of felt like it was this backdrop. It had an energy to it, but I found it a little off-putting. So understand that my grade is kind of related to the fact that the production value of this, I don't know, it didn't do it for me.
On this track?
On a lot of the tracks. Oh. But on this one, it was just kind of the thing. And then he raps, and he's got, like, amazing things to say. But I feel like his flow is very static. And I don't want to be disrespectful, because I've learned that people will not appreciate what I might say in a negative sense about him. But I respect his flow, and I respect what he does. But I don't find like that constant, and it's constant, right? And if I understand it, this is more of that like street side of rapping, where it's like heavy. It's like this kind of, it's not trying to be tricky or flashy. It's trying to say real shit.
Right.
And I like that he's doing that, because he is managing to back it up with real shit, and that part is
direct.
But like, I can't say that it's my favorite kind of hip hop. So right off the jump, I'm like, I like what Kendrick does a lot more than what J-Rock does. Okay, so it's not this, and to me, I want to establish that I recognize that they're kind of different things, and I want you guys to just know that.
Just so I understand, is it like Kendrick has more like a Hollywood feel to it?
No, there's a flair to it. Yeah,
more creative scene type, not just like heavy thuggish street.
But it's more to the speed too, right? Because this is slow.
Right.
This is like, I'm not the hugest fan of slower rappers. Like, you won't often see me going nuts on slow. For me, like a good upbeat, faster tempoed flow is just more fun to listen to. And I'm not saying this is bad. I'm just saying it's definitely slower than what I normally would jump on.
Fair.
But yeah, like, I mean, he's strong with his words. Like, the devil thought he had me. I was on back burners, moonwalking fast. Y'all respect my journey. That's fucking crazy. Like, right? Because like just what he's saying. Mm-hmm. He's doing all these bad things, and then finally the devil thought he was going to capture him. He's talking about his accident there, and he falls over. And then he was on back burners. He was taken off. He couldn't handle it. But then he ties that idea of like back burners and just the idea of walking backwards and life is going in the wrong direction with that moonwalking line in the next line. And then
that image of like trying to walk forward, but like
yeah.
Right.
And then you're going backwards, which just kind of ties into it all. And then he's like, y'all respect my journey, which I'm doing, sir. I just want you to understand. I am respecting his journey because I took that time to care about what he had to say in spite of all of that. And, you know, like what Chris pointed out, those lines were pretty sick. Like, he flipped that bitch, Millie rocking the wheel, 200,000 in the bank, straight to hospital bills. It's just the idea. Imagine you finally get all those racks. You finally get that shit. You're finally starting to feel like that, and boom, $200,000 fucking fee. Like, if that is not karma, because, you know, as he said, he was doing it dirty. He wasn't necessarily making it clean. And he's kind of creating this illusion of karma, which is so strong and so interesting. I like when he's like, battle scars and tribulation, downfalls from the situation. I bounced off the dedication. I counted from my participation. Getting pounds off, getting rounds off, getting blocks back. I facilitated when I sound off. You a ground haunt. It's a casket and a pillow waiting. And here you just get the sense like he's got that like the wit and the lyricism of like that hip hop aggression, like that part where he's gonna take you or he's gonna kill you, he's gonna do whatever. But it also feels laced like where he's come from this background of the streets and this idea of what it really is. Like he's got battle scars, he's gone through some harder times, he's gone through some things. He's not necessarily just a guy who wins all the time. And I think that's the most humanizing part of him. Like you look at a guy like Kendrick and it feels like he's invincible. But what J-Rock is presenting here is a higher state of vulnerability that he came out, but then you know what? It couldn't keep him down through his passion, his dedication, his willingness to get back into this proper. He started growing, in which he started getting his accomplishments and accolades and shit, you know. I do like when he's like, don't you notice I'm the coldest? And I gotta say, he's got this cold feel to him.
Right.
I can appreciate that kind of a statement because I feel that on this track. I feel the energy of the track. I don't like the chorus so much. I know what he's doing. I don't like it that much. I'm sorry. I give this a 4.25 on 5 because I thought it's a good song that is not one of my favorites because it's just not a style I'm 100% into. But I appreciate how smart and how like this album has such like depth to it already. Like it's personal. It's got something to it is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
Like I hope this isn't too pandery. I'm just trying to establish shit too much maybe. Anyway, fuck. For what it's worth, this is me rambling.
This is my life. Should I kill this nigga or should I let him by?
Alright, how do you feel about this one?
I like the message and the lyrics more than I like the beat. The beat was I felt slower than the last one. I felt more just down than the like it didn't have this kind of like boppy feel to it. This like it kind of make me want to listen to it. It just felt very drony and just like kind of in a mood, which I guess is part of what he's trying to portray and part of the song. It just didn't hit me well. From what I understand, the chorus is setting up, like, the chorus in the first off is kind of setting up this feel to the track of, like, questioning loneliness of being home. Kind of like you go home and you don't know what to do. There's problems happening there. You don't want to be there. And then kind of, like, connecting to the way of coping is, like, he's drinking alcohol. I get the sense that maybe J-Rock is a little bit of an alcoholic, or he enjoys drinking alcohol to suppress the pain. I like one line when he goes, struggle with who I am and who I want to be. Got these streets and these beats right in front of me. And it's just like, you can see he's trying to be better, but he maybe has like this connection to want to still do what he was doing on the streets, still wanting to like act that type of way. Maybe there's like influences or people he looks up to or people look up to him and he has to kind of keep that representation. But he's also dealing with like other things in his life that makes him have to be better. And then like he ties it in. He goes, I can't have my babies walking around in the projects while I'm on my bunk stressing through the process. I'd rather be a prospect, godlike. But for now, my text, this is my life. It's like you could see that he's got a family. He's got a kid. He doesn't want to have to live there. He wants to provide better for, I think her is a daughter.
I don't know.
Right. Anyway, just he wants to provide better for the baby, but he also, as he mentions, like he's got his tech there, his gun, and he's also kind of realizing like this is what he's got to do to get her to a better get the baby to a better place. You can feel the anxiety in this song. You can feel like in his voice, like you can kind of hear him choking up. It's really great. And then in verse 2. I feel like he's kind of breaking down this kind of conflicting relationship, I guess, with maybe like the baby mama or just a woman that he might be seeing. Kind of feel like he's addressing that he's trying to do good, but she's always like kind of just there for money, the fame, and the cars. With one of the lines, and all she saw was a Benz, and thought the world of me. She think her a lick, and I got rapper money. A child support is a legal way she can ask for money. So that line actually makes me kind of think that like this was a situation that a woman kind of got him to impregnate her, and then she can just keep getting money off of him while he's rich, and kind of showing that like example and kind of showing that side of something that he may have lived with. But all in all, the song is good in terms of the message and the lyrics, but I gave it a 3.9 because the beat's not just there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like the beat either. I feel like it's, again, slower. It's not really my style, but I do also kind of get the feeling it's a little more struggle music. Like, you're supposed to be on this journey with him. So I imagine if I had a life that was comparable to his, maybe I would be relating to the pain that he is expressing through it. I feel like that first verse is kind of him reflecting on just the reality of what's going on and that dichotomy that he's facing between how the streets are kind of calling him, and he knows that life, and he kind of, that's where the quick money is, but at the same time the music thing's there if he wants it, and as long as he's willing to give up the streets he can have the music thing, and it kind of pushes that idea. Like, he's like trying to solve my problems with his fifth of how many fucks to give lately, I'm running empty. So you can get the sense that he's desperate, that he's relying heavily on alcohol to cope, to make it through.
Kind of like, I feel like kind of looking for a reason to care.
Yeah,
at this point,
like, struggle with who I am and who I want to be. Got, you know, you guys get the sense of that part. But he's also got lines like, while I'm on my bunk stressing, you know, I'd rather be whatever. Chris said that part, but now many texts in my life, should I kill this or should I let him by? My mommy say I'm like my daddy. I got too much pride, and she was right. Mix this bottle with the lime and Sprite. Hit the lights. Yeah, somebody gotta die tonight. And you just get the sense where it's like, he knows he should be changing and stuff, but he recognizes that he's very much like his father. He's probably inherited the love of alcohol and vengeance and all this other stuff from him, this street mentality per se. So at the end of the day, just because somebody crossed him once the alcohol kicks in and shit, you get the sense that it's like now he's just got to go take care of somebody. And maybe it's himself that he's even metaphorically describing a bit, but you really get that deepness to it. And
I like that sense of thinking. It's not the first time I've heard a rapper make like that. It's like make that connection of like the mother or the father being like having some type of drinking problem or drug problem.
I think a lot of people. No, I mean, go on, but
well, it's not the first time I've heard a rapper like right. But I'm saying like I like that type of thinking of like trying to find themselves and trying to find answers and trying to find that connection. It was just it stood out to me is all I'm saying.
Yeah, it didn't really stand out to me. It just kind of seems like most honest stories have that in it, like so many times, and it's an unfortunate part of the reality of the era or the age of a lot of these people, especially if they were born around the 80s, you know. Or they say money's the root of all evil. I say the power of pussy will scar people. And then this whole verse to me is just kind of setting up the fact that, you know, women are a bit of a distraction or a trap maybe. And like he said, he just kind of lays out that child support is a way that people try to trap you and get pregnant off of you when you are famous or something like that, you know. So Chris kind of went into that a bit, but I kind of get the sense that he has realized that a certain quality of women that he's encountered isn't necessarily good. So these hoes, these people that maybe that are like glorified up on the hip hop, what everybody seems to be going on about. At the end of the day, it just seems like there's some nefarious stuff going on there, and you know, it's like to fall in love with doing exotic drugs and playing inside of clubs. I'm never the one to cuff. She like Johnny, you know, this pussy yours and only yours. Take the rubber off, you know, like. These women kind of sense his vulnerability and the fact that he's out of it or whatever, and then she's just kind of like saying whatever to get pregnant, and you know, and maybe it is only his, because at that point there'd be no conflict. She would know when she got pregnant it is his and nobody else, you know. So it's just kind of setting up the danger, but like I just couldn't feel the beat. I just couldn't get into the track. I feel like it's a great message worth hearing, and like bars wise it's there, and he raps well. But I found myself a little bit not into it. So I gave it a 4 because I respect what it is, but I don't necessarily like it still. And the next one is Knock It Off. Okay, like for real, at this point I realized it's going to be a tough review for me because I like this one less than the other two. It's not about the lyrics. It's about the beat and the flow and the feel and just his choices and the way he rapped it. It's this like kind of airy style, I guess. Like he's trying to be light and flossy with it.
I feel like he's trying to make that like easy, catchy song.
But like,
that, like
I feel like the whole way through he's doing that. There's like this air of doom that kind of comes with him because he's just set up the serious shit for the last two, and I feel like it just doesn't sit right with me. And I'm sorry, I don't know. Lyrically, it's totally fine. Like Eastside Johnny on one, ain't no question what it is. 2, 2, 3. I'll let you hold one if you come between my ends. I done slide in through the sheets. I done slide in through the pen. Politicking on the yard and drop your ass off a tier. doesn't trust anybody. Like, it honestly, and I know it's probably his life, but it feels a little bit generic, a little bit like he's trying for something here. And I get it. Like, it's kind of, the chorus is kind of setting it up like he's the best. You know, other people aren't necessarily living that life, so they need to stop it, you know, stop trying to front in a certain way. And then this whole song is a little bit about proving that, like, he lives the life and whatnot, you know. So, you know him, two-door seats, you know, tinted windows so that he can do whatever and the cops can't see him, you know, whatever. He likes getting head. The panties drop because the women love him. Clip ain't in, but it's one in the head. Get it? Because he's fucking or whatever. And, like, I mean, I have trouble with this whole flossy. This kind of flossing is modern, where it
sounds fluffy flossy.
Because it's more like, it's not about, like, I'm the best rapper. It's like, I've lived that life that you're trying to sell. So I don't know if I'm misunderstanding it, but there's almost nothing about these bars that is going on like, I'm a sick rapper. And it's not like he's even trying to prove he's a better rapper. He's just trying to prove his, like, street authenticity, which is where I'm like, I don't get it. But I feel like I'm missing something in this song, you know?
What I feel like he's trying to do that, though, in a way of trying to show, like, his experience and giving us that story. Like, he's just kind of giving us the story of what he's done.
I mean, if this is kind of pointing out, like, as part of his life story, this is the part where he's super braggadocious, and if this is kind of like him thinking back in a past time, all right.
I would say thinking back in a past time.
But it just kind of comes off as a song like he's bragging like he's the best and shit. But again, at first I thought it was like he's the best. And I was like, I looked up his numbers and I'm like, he's pretty like mid-level as far as rap success goes. Like, he's not in that top tier yet by any metric that would put somebody in that top tier. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's got what, 500,000 followers or something like that. Like, I'm not trying to be like a dick. I'm just saying in general, like, there's a certain numbers you need to get to be up there. Coming from guys who are literally in the bottomest tier possible. I get it. I get the hypocritical, ironic nature of me making that claim. But I'm just commenting on the song and my impression. But then I realized it's not about his success as a rapper. It's all about his authenticity, which blew that argument out of the water, in my opinion. But it comes off a little bit like he's being like whatever. But no, it's not. It's subtly different.
I just have one issue with, like, the intro of the song, though, too. Like, the whole setup of, like, praising God for giving him this redemption, like, giving him another chance, like, back at life and stuff. And then kind of having, like, the, like fluffy type track. It was just, like, I didn't feel like it was a proper setup for the song.
Yeah, and I mean, like, the second verse, I'm on 10, I go in, I just pop, I just win, off the lot, in a win, I am rock, who is him? I mean, the flow's all right, but lyrically it's just kind of saying he goes 100, keeps it proper, and he's J-Rock. Yep. You know, and it's cool. And I hate coming off like this because I feel like being a hater is not really what I want to be on this channel, but it wasn't very impressive. Fuck you doing, get a bag, selling work in a lab, smoking perp in a lab, pull up skirt, Rari fast. Like, literally any rapper could have said that lyric. As far now, the way he says it is fine, but it just kind of felt a little bit too much like, I guess, what Amigos is trying to do with it, and that didn't sit as well with me. Anyway, I give this a 3.5 on 5. I don't want to keep going on because I sound like an asshole because, like, the beats, whatever, the rhymes or whatever, the premise is interesting, but because I believe him. I believe he's really authentic. That's where I'm at.
I give it a 3.8. I didn't, like, it's not the greatest track, but it's not, like, that complete horrible or very.
It's just, Yeah. To me, I don't know. Do you have more to add? Let's talk about ES Tales.
Projects where it's bracking at, you know the zip, where we take a quarter piece, flip it, tell a corner.
Yeah, this one I like a lot more. Did you see the video?
Not
it's
of
like,
this one.
It starts off with like this kid. You hear some pew 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 kind of sounds like duck hunt or whatever. And like J-Rock gets up and it's this kid and he's like shooting at the TV, but he's like shooting police in like this little cartoon world. And then the rest of the video as J-Rock goes around, it's just everything he sees kind of like a video game. And it kind of adds some commentary to the idea that I guess their entire reality just is kind of this fiction or this piece of whatever. And I just thought it was a really cool video. Like, forget about the song for a second. Like, the video was interesting. Like, Top Dog does good work with videos. But how did you feel about this song?
I thought it was cool. The beat is heavier. I feel like I have more of an interest in this track, into this instrumental. It sounds better mixed, better sound, heavier bass. It just gives you this like this thumping feel, this like kind of giant, like we're coming for you feel. The chorus has like the I want to call it the Freddy.
Well, it's not. It's like the 1, 2, cents coming for you, 3, 4. Because Freddy Krueger took it from a nursery rhyme.
Right. I don't know what the original nursery rhyme is, but it's cool. Like it is cool, and I like how it's kids singing it because it also kind of shows you like whatever. After listening to the song, I felt like the kids singing it are representing like this is what the kids are in. Like this is what the kids are going to be growing up in.
And what they're singing is big shots, hardcore drugs, everything crooked. What you thought this was, steam pot turned powder into rock, plan goes sour. That's how you get got. Ah shit, got it popping into breaks. Part of playing cool. It's time to get rich. Keep it in mind. Never walk around blind. I can't get all of you in it. And remember, it's kids singing that in like a nursery rhyme. Like this is just a reality. As you can tell, it's a lot about cooking up drugs, selling drugs, bad things happening. It's kind of like the hood in his perception through a nursery rhyme.
I mean, the ES stands for East Side Tales.
Right.
So like he's kind of just giving us that story of where he's from on the East Side. I mean, he kind of like, validates what he's saying by going, bitch, we about the action on that wish you would shit. All red flags, swag on 10. We ain't in the club. We can't get our goods in. Like, he's about making that money. He's about red flags. He's part of the Bloods, I would assume. He's about the action. He ain't gonna fuck around. He's got business to take care of. And I like how he's kind of saying like, yo, we're not going to clubs because I can't make profit there. If I can't do what I gotta do to make my money and feed my family and make my movements, I ain't gonna go there. I'm gonna stay on my block. I'm gonna stay on my street. I'm gonna stay, where I can benefit in my own, I guess, world or, self. I like the environment, the way it kind of looks about the environment you get listening to this song. You kind of hear the noise, like street noises, like you hear like the parks. You kind of hear feeling like you kind of get this feeling of like walking down the street and stuff like that. I like when he went, look, I'm deeper inside the projects where it's cracking at. The zip, where we take a quarter piece, flip it in the corner lit, like. He's explaining here, like, he's gonna turn his block open, make sure he keeps selling the product, keep selling what he's got to do, whether it be like, well, he mentions the brick, so I'm assuming he's flipping cocaine, he's flipping bricks of something, but also he could be also kind of using it as a metaphor to push his album, push his mixtape to try to make the music too and make it lit in terms of like a party or something like that. That was really cool. I landed this track at a 4 on 5.
Yeah, I mean, it's totally, to me, like a step up above the last few in terms of energy and everything. It definitely is more, it feels very much like contextualizing the world that he's in from like a different perspective, whereas maybe the last one was about the authenticity and how he's lived it. Here he's almost, to me, way more proving the point that he understands the reality because he's going kind of descriptive. Like, all that back and forth gets me hot sometimes. I mean, you ever just think about it? Like, there's some truth in that. Just look at World Star Hip Hop and whatnot. People fucking love watching bickering and gossip and all this other shit, which is just kind of builds up this negative kind of enthralling where, like, these negative emotions get you hot, like, bothered. Like, honestly, like, you want to fuck practically just over just what's going on in your environment, want to see somebody get knocked out, just box one time, shit, catch a fade, it ain't nothing, get your head up at the gym, bring your knuckles. So it's almost like encouraging, let's get a fight on, let's get into boxing. I don't know if I'm misinterpreting that, but I think it's kind of just showing the adrenaline charged nature of how everyone is, like.
But I feel like it's also, he's kind of explaining like this is what this is the norm of like where he's from.
Exactly.
Like this is what we do. It's people are always getting into fights that we love it.
So yeah, and then he like really goes, we take a quarter piece, flip it till the corner lit, yo, like, you know, so they sell it all, make the money, whatever, then they can go party and, you know, enjoy it because they've done the work they got to do. A1 Yola, that's fresh out the border shit, shootouts and abortion situation, so unfortunate. I knew doing double digits bust the head wide open for another who's scared to rep his set right. You just got the sense that he knows this guy is doing double digit years because he blew somebody's head off because they didn't do the right thing or whatever. So he's just kind of giving you an example of what's going on, the abortions, the negative situations of his environment. And that was a lot more.
Like say like babies in the
I don't know,
garbage kind of one point.
Probably. In general, you just get this good context setter. Just a lot more to me to prove the point than the previous track. Mm-hmm. So we in the hood, situations looking grim. One time circling for colors of your skin. Black Lives Matter out here, no way. Cops get promotions while the family gotta pray. That line hit me. That was like, woof. You know, like already you have the whole like idea of Black Lives Matter and how people kind of try to play it up like, you know, it is. I mean, it's not as big in the news. You don't really hear about it as much, but the problems are still in existence. Like, I don't believe all of a sudden all police have stopped shooting black people and shit, you know? Like, I don't believe cops are still getting off. Like, I don't believe that all cops are serving the consequence or the time like they're supposed to be. So just to have like that still level of stuff is just a good reminder that it still needs to be said until it's no longer a thing. And then whatever, I'm all about that money, man. Miss me with that Trump stuff, trying to make $1 out of 50, don't get fucked up. So I guess it's don't fuck with me. I don't care about your politics, whatever. I'm just trying to make some money. And then I believe he says, I'm selling you just a bunch of shake. And if you got a bud, it's because I fucked up and you got luck. You don't expect some good quality shit. I'm just trying to be grimy, make my money quick. And it does a really great job of like painting a picture of maybe where he comes from a little bit in a grimy, dirty way, but while displaying to me a far more versatile range of talent and rapping prowess. I get this a 4.25 on 5. I thought it was pretty good. The next one is there's a drink and there's a swivel and rotations and all sorts of stuff.
Welfare, EBTs on the dresser, crash dummies, real killers, fast money, kill niggas.
Yep, right back in the other direction. This one was a little bit harder for me to get into. The chorus is poppy. I got the drink, got this, whatever, in rotation. So it's highs, whatever. They're a little bit faded. And then, you know, they just kind of go in and drop some really fucking hard lines about the shit that they're going to do up in their neighborhood, you know?
Well, I think the song is supposed to, like, contextualize that they are, when it's war, you have to swivel back in rotation, like keep looking, like watch your back, make sure you're protected, always like keep your head on your, you know, on your shoulders, stuff like that. But as well as they're coping with all of the negativity and the war that's happening and this like all the bloodshed and the gangsterism that's happening in the area, they're rotating between smoking and drinking to ease the pain, which another play on that is they're also being paranoid, so they got to keep their head on a swivel, literally, to make sure that, I
get all of that. I do.
Right.
But, like...
it's just not that hype.
Like, well, I'm not saying it quite so harshly, but, I mean, that chorus comes in, and it does kind of sound like a party jam, but it really turns out to be a coping mechanism. But then the verse is, like, 112th Street, Deuce Line, tell a friend, parking lots, job spots, hard rock, I'ma get, duke it out, shoot it out, fuck a op, who is him? Pack him out. I stall him. We need to find out where you live. And you really get the sense that they're taking care of their business. And this is the type of like serious shit, man. Get the guns. We got to get ready to kill this motherfucker because shit's serious. And he rolls on with that like hard hitting constant rhythm. Like it really kick a door, head choke, take it all, hit the stairs, yellow bricks, pedal bricks. And you know, like he just kind of contextualizes almost like what his day's like, you know, like watch out for the guys trying to take yours. Make your drugs, sell your shit, get your money, dodge the enemies, kill who needs to be killed. And I'm not trying to minimize it or downplay it or anything. Again, this is like that real shit in terms of a message. So his lyricism and how he rapped his song was actually really, really, really impressive to me. I thought it was cool, especially because he maintained those small, almost triplet flows for so long while keeping keeping the narrative moving. Then there's the second verse, where it's like, okay, I slide by myself. I don't need no help unless it's Kendrick. Chopper on the seat, no safety belts. I slide by myself. I don't need no help, you know. And he goes off, and he just kind of keeps. I don't know. Then from there, I lost my love of the song a little bit. It was okay. The chorus, really, I thought it was just annoying. Actually, I didn't enjoy the little melody he had going. I maybe I wasn't drunk, and if I was a little bit faded at a club or something, I might appreciate it a little more. I might vibe to it, but that was not the case. I get this a 3.75. I think it's kind of, again, it's a strong song thematically. It really tells this story and keeps this narrative of him kind of going through his life almost, and where he got up to like his end point, as we'll see at the end of the review. Like at that point, you'll see what changes. But at this point, it's still kind of like, I'm like, okay. I felt like this to me was a little bit of a filler track. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. How did you feel?
I gave it a 3.9 realistically just because it doesn't seem that hype. I mean, J-Rock's letting us know like what's he gonna do, and again, like he's explaining the environment, he's explaining why he's acting the way he's acting, why he's gotta stay on his toes, and why he's gotta always be ready for action, you know. The paranoia is getting to him. He's smoking to calm down, he's drinking to calm down, he's trying to suppress the pain. But it just lacked this sense of hypeness. The verses are good. The way he presents the verses are good. Like you said, the triplet styles were pretty cool. I enjoyed the chorus. I didn't think it was like all that annoying. It was just a very kind of simple chorus, and it was like, yeah, I got my head in this in rotation. It was like, okay, I can bop to this, but it missed this hype feeling. Like I don't know if it's the beat. I don't know if it's like the energy maybe J-Rock didn't have. I don't know if it's the chorus, the energy they didn't have. But there just misses this like a little spark that just isn't there. 3.9.
That's fair. Next up features Jeremih. Tap Out.
I'ma work it out, stand up while late, and a couple 100,000 dead man's in the safe with it.
I don't like Jeremih's voice. Like, I was looking to see who it was, and then I Googled him. And, I mean, I know I've seen the name.
Right.
I know that he's a thing.
Right.
I don't think I've heard him before. I feel like I was better off before. I might be wrong. I didn't like this song. This was the most generic piece of nonsense fucking drivel crap. Like, this could have been any other fucking fluffy pop song.
Not even fluffy pop song, but this felt like the fluffy pop song version of the last track. Like,
look,
they're smoking till they're tapped out to suppress the pain from all the shit that's happening.
But this time they're going to have to fuck, and he's going to get the girl. Redemption, like, we've been lit, face down, ass up, vicious, whoa. I mean, I don't really understand how the redemption theme fits into this song. Maybe he's just trying to, but it just kind of sounds like they're trying to smash and get fucked up. Okay, when I slide to the back, closed eyes in the back, because I'm high in the back. Like, look, I know that J-Rock can do better than that. Like, there's cool ways to use that kind of same word rhyming thing. I don't think this was a great use of it. I think this was just a generic use of it. Got a text where you at A. Only big flex where I'm at A. Bouncing on the highway. Head up on the highway. I only do it my way. I swear Limp Bizkit wrote this track. I just did a Limp Bizkit review. It's just Fred Durst's like lyrical quality here. That's the type of shit that I would have expected on that album. And I know this is gonna get some dislikes and shit. It's fine.
Fred Durst is Limp Bizkit?
Yes, and it's really fucking lame rhyming. I like what he does,
now
but
I get the Eminem rhyme reference.
But like this here just doesn't seem like good. Like Dead Man's in a safe with it. I know what I'm about. Sip some blow an eighth when you bring it to the house. Fuck you in the car in the back. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Fuck you so good. Call back. Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, to quote them, for real though, how many fucks do I give about J-Rock's fuck song? Like 0. I don't dig it, man. I don't dig this at all. Slide on the gram, looking for a new biatch. Don't fall through. Back up, cause I'll be all right. Put it in my face. I'm a lurk though.
You know what it sounds like? You know what it sounds like?
So here's the thing. As part of the story of him being a creeper who's trying to smash hoes and all that other shit, it fits the album. And it makes total sense because that seems to be what this album is, you know, like snapshots of the shittier version of himself, and he's on his quest for redemption. And this is just, as you said earlier in the thing, a snapshot of it, which is all good. I just hate the delivery. So 3 on 5, because it's so boring to me. It's not quite bad enough to be calling it a bad song, but I was disappointed. Mixed with it was significantly not interesting. Like this song was the hardest one for me to get through in a long time.
I mean, you pretty much covered everything about the track. I feel like J-Rock tried to make a song for kids a little bit.
Like the youth?
Like, yeah, in a sense, like it sounded very simple. There wasn't really any relationship explanation. There wasn't really any like going in depth of wanting of how he's gonna romanticize her, how he's gonna like do this, take her out, and how like he likes her when she does this or that. It was really just, I want to fuck, I want to smoke, I want to drink, I want to essentially party, which for me kind of feels like he's trying to blend in with the new kids of the block where they're like, I just want to do what I want to do, you know? So I don't think it really fit what I've heard so far.
I think it did. But I'm sorry, I don't think it sonically fit. I think thematically it fit.
Can I just have the difference?
So I think the theme of the song, at a concept level, really fits the project for what he's been trying to do.
In terms of showing us that
like
sense of
like the story.
I'm a creeper, I'm a this, I'm a that.
This is kind of,
Right.
But like sonically, it felt like a weird thing for Top Dog Entertainment.
Absolutely. I gave it a 3.5 though.
I might be wrong. If you guys love this song, I would love to hear why you like it. But if you feel like it's a sleeper track like I do, I'd also love to know that. Meanwhile, the truth is, so often it feels like these words are out of sight, out of mind, and that's just OSOM.
Change, niggas change, bitches change, friend or foe, if it's so, pick a lane. Lil Wayne on my...
Chris, did you see the music video to this one?
I did.
This was one hell of a music video. Oh, so there is some violent altercation upon which we see J-Rock washing blood off his hands and J. Cole's in the room being like, yo, I didn't want to do this for locals. I knew that guy.
You told me nobody we knew.
Yeah, blah, blah, blah. So they killed somebody. Then the song comes in and we watch like J-Rock go through his verse and he's a little bit like paranoid or whatever and he's just kind of doing his stuff. And then J. Cole is fucking paranoid. And then they meet up in the car. I'm like, you just see them like looking over their shoulders. They're seeing like the same kind of car or whatever. J. Cole sees like the same car everywhere he goes, his girl's house, whatever. And then at the end they get in the car. He's like, no, you're not just stoned. It's not just that. There is people after us. And then these guys just send a burning fucking grocery cart down and then just unload clips on them and they die. And they cut out the third verse and then the video ends. But it was fucking good. That was a good music video. Jermaine Cole and I guess Johnny, I don't know his last name.
Johnny McKenzie.
Very good job. I mean, yeah, so this song, it's again more of, I feel like, a context setter and stuff about just kind of different experiences that they're kind of going on, like success and how you deal with these things, I think is a little bit. So like at the beginning we have J. Cole kind of talking about when he first got some love from Top Dog, first got some money, you know, if I could pretend, see, I wouldn't feel right. I bought
J-Rock?
Yeah, that's what I meant, J-Rock. What did I say?
J. Cole.
Rock is first. I'll say Rock and Cole. I'll just skip the J part. I just signed everyone on my line. They want to know taxes. Do Rock got a mansion? $30K to my mom's. The hood turned up. Bottles.
Although I like that line though, where he's kind of bringing to light that like he's questioning now that before people didn't want to fuck with him, but now that he's got signed, people are like, hey, you know, how much money you got? What's going on? It's
yeah,
this, like this.
He's
and
just kind of like, and then but he also like he played into it. He like bought those friends for a minute. He turned up. He spent all his money, bought his mom a little house, etc. You know, got
the human, like we've said, the human part of J-Rock is there. And I enjoy that.
This song's fucking smash to me.
Absolutely.
Like, and then like he has got Lil Wayne on a single now, so he's fucking hoes like he's single now. A little bit cheap, a little bit okay. His triggers are close to his fingers, and he's kind of like setting up, I guess, a little bit where his life was at when the fame started coming. His girl left him. He smoked his last little bit. He's ended up drugless. It's almost like he burnt through everything and he ended up fried. I guess he's trying to contextualize. Even though I'm this famous rapper guy that you know about, I didn't necessarily manage my life correctly, so I ended up kind of back where I started, you know. And then he's out of sight, out of mind. The chorus comes in. J. Cole kind of feels like he's on his KOD kick as he's like spitting his little context verse where he's taking on the role of a youth, you know, promethazine in a baby bottle, meditating on daily dollars, lately problems stem from my bitch because she know I still fuck with my baby mama. You know, a little bit of standard shit like I'm high, I'm banging up girls, I have some drama at home, drama here.
But no, go on.
Well, yeah, I know he's just kind of whatever. He's stressed. He's anxious. He needs some drugs to cope with all this situation. People don't trust him. People want to take him. He's just kind of creating this general anxious verse, kind of painting out what I believe to be like a stereotype of your average wannabe rapper character, but more realistic, more like of the honesty of the situation and less of like the glorification in a positive way. I mean,
I like how they tied it into the name of the song, Out of Sight, Out of Mind, and kind of like when you're so drugged out or you're so like turned up off liquor or whatnot, like you don't have your sight of vision, you don't have the proper decision making, your conscience or whatever it is, but you can also block out again like the negativity and the pains and stuff, which when you do that, it's like it's not in your mind anymore. And I like how they're giving that context to what I guess you were saying, the wannabe rappers or
I feel like J. Cole was doing it more like that, whereas I feel like J. Cole is kind of adopting that personality, whereas J. Rock is maybe lived it a little more realistically,
but still expressing it. Like again, if you want to think of like giving us like this shitty version.
But what I mean
of
is like
J-Rock
J. Rock is kind of talking about himself, whereas J. Cole is adopting a personality. Is what it feels like. Right. And then like J. Rock comes back in for a third verse. He's ripping and running wild. My mama say slow it down. He doesn't listen to her. All of his felonies on file. Sipping liquor till his liver ruined. His partner just lost trial. All these things are going bad for him, etc. And then he's like kind of stressed. He doesn't know how to handle the situation. It kind of flows into stuff like Top Dogs on the map. We familiar with your Waze. We don't even need the app because Waze is an app that tells you how to get through traffic, like Google Maps, if I'm not mistaken, tells you the fastest way to get places. And Top Dog is going to be like that. But I like how it just kind of ends and kind of flips it back on other people and how they kind of sell the fake version of this life with a hope you worth more than your Rolex when you run up out of time. So he's pointing out that, like, sure, you got that Rollie now and you got the this now, but at some point your wealth is gone. And are you actually worth more than this fucking the assets that you have? What is your actual value? I thought this track was super strong. It's got this fucking great beat that flows really nicely with both the guys. They keep it kind of vibrant, alive, really interesting subject matter. I give this a 5 on 5.
I gave it a 4.
That's fine. But what else do you have to say?
I don't have really much to say about it. I don't think it's a bad song. I don't think that I just personally am not really gonna go back to it.
Well, fine. So you're done. I didn't honestly think I'd be saying this again, but la-di-da-di-da, slob-a-me-nub, chitty-chitty bang, King's dead.
Like that little bitch, bust that open, I want that ocean, yeah, that bite back, little bitch, do it bite back.
All right, so this is not the first time we've talked about this track. This is almost the same thing as the one on Black Panther, only they got rid of Kendrick's really long verse at the end where he just kind of goes nuts for a second. So it's I don't know why it doesn't say featuring Kendrick Lamar, because he does the fucking chorus, and they have 100,000 or whatever, and he freaks it, he spends the money, he goes off. Miss me with that bullshit. You ain't really wild. You a tourist. I be blacking out the purist. Made 100,000. So I freaked it. It's kind of again commenting on maybe the industry or people who talk a lot and they're like, look, you ain't really living this life. I know it because like I actually made this money and I blow that much money. And it's almost like I know you didn't do it because when I say these words, they're true. Wink, wink. It's a little bit the argument that got used there. However, I do believe Kendrick's that rich. I'm just throwing it out there. I also do think Future's kind of wealthy. I'm okay with that. Then we have J Rock, and I feel like I've said this before because we've done this song before. MVP, I don't get no sleep. No, I don't like that little bitch. Bust that open. I want this ocean. You had to bite back, little bitch. And he's kind of coming in and he's just describing his shit. He's kind of fly. He's changed his life up. He's using the music. I like when he goes stutter Stefan got a half of fame all up in my posters. I've been ready. My whip been ready. My bitch been ready. And you know what? The first time I heard it, it was annoying, but then it's kind of hype. Actually, it's kind of got this nice flow. Like this is a track you can almost like turn up to a little bit. It's kind of cool. Kendrick does this thing, and then we got Future where he kind of comes in and does something that sounds sort of like the chorus for a while. Then he goes la-di-da-di-da, slob on me nah, but pass me some syrup, fuck me in the car, la-di-da-di-da, motherfuck the law, chitty-chitty bang, murder everything, and then bitch I'm on a roll and I put that on the gang is what J-Rock says. I think this is the worst chorus possible thing. I don't like it because I think it's almost like, this to me sounds like Future phoned it in, man. Like, I don't know what the fuck, how that got approved. I mean, do you guys think that's hype? This is the second time I feel like I've had to ask that question. Do you guys think that Future bit is hype? I agree that
I think that the Future bit is iconic. Like, in terms of when you hear it, you know what it is.
It's just,
like, you know it's Future. So I think that's like, Future is trying to experiment with certain different things just to maybe stay relevant, maybe trying to stay in the game.
But like when you're next to Kendrick like this, I don't know, man. J-Rock sounds great.
Didn't they take out Kendrick's verse?
Yeah, but they still have Kendrick on the hook.
I mean, yeah.
And then he was still on that other version. Like, what I'm trying to say is, like, Future sounds whack. Kendrick and J-Rock sound pretty fucking fly. I give this a 4.25. I think it would have been a higher song. I actually like it more than when I first heard it, but I just think Future sounds so stupid.
I gave it a 4.
That's all you have to say?
There's not much to it.
Just so you guys know, I try to make them talk.
I don't really have much to say about this song. I think it's hype in terms of like the beat. I like it. I like how J-Rock presents it. I like the whole entire song. It's just, I've heard it. I've reviewed it. I know it's a little bit different because Kendrick's verse isn't there, but
and it's got that hood little speech at the beginning this time.
Yeah, I guess that's okay. Didn't really faze me that much.
So he doesn't really like the song as much as his generic filler text says. So let's talk about Troopers.
Ain't got a question when it's bracking. Just point me in the direction when.
All right, Chris, how do you feel about this song?
This is a nice loyalty song from J-Rock. I like how the production sounds a little bit different on this though for me. Sounds more clear. It didn't sound as like kind of droned out a little bit from what I feel a couple songs back. Still he's still kind of letting us know a little bit about like the dark stuff in his world. He's riding with his troopers. I feel like he kind of took this from Shooters from Tory Lanez a little bit, just in terms of like,
I don't know what that means.
well, because Tory Lanez has a song called Shooters,
that
and
part was inherent.
it kind of just sounds the same thing. Like, I'm out riding with the shooters, I'm out here with the troopers. Kind of just feels like the generic message is the same. But like, there's this sense of loyalty that you kind of get from J-Rock. Like, as he goes off, he goes, if that's your real, he gonna slide for you. If that's your real, he gonna die for you. You ain't got a question when it's bracken, just point me in the direction when it's action day one's in the sandbox from breaking through the padlocks. Like, you can tell that he's there with the people who've been struggling with him from day one, and he wants to make it with the team, and he's only doing it with his own team.
Right, because your hood is Mascots and his hood is Mad Watts, which is a hood in around that LA Compton-ish area. I don't know exactly where Watts is. Please forgive me. I know it's around there because it's referenced by people who come from LA.
The chorus about like where J-Rock is kind of saying like notify his mom that he might not make it home, kind of giving us this dark, again, more dark energy in terms of where like what he's going out to do to make his money, to make the movement, or maybe even like get back or help his boy knock somebody out because, you know, there's beef that happened. He has to take care of business. Overall, I gave it a 4.
Yeah, I mean, it's fucking hot in here, by the way. It's sweaty and it's humid. Montreal is an awful place in the summer sometimes. I just had to throw that in because I feel disgusting. But, yeah, I agree with you. It's kind of just a little bit about the hood. It's kind of his, a little bit of, like, showing love to the environment that's protected him as much as it may have been toxic. So I think it's trying to almost give a little bit of positivity. Like we're at a point maybe later on in the album where his perspective's less, because earlier in the album he's by himself and he's riding on his own, and you can see his mentality is a little bit more shifting towards a little bit of community and things like that. You know, they're just a little bit. I don't have a lot of stuff to quote here. You kind of took the main one I wanted. He's like, we public on missions, don't hang, hang, hang. We got bad bitches too, huh? They blast, win some and lose some. Just went half on the new drum. You know, it just felt really like it's okay. Nothing super significant to me. Just okay lines, fit really well on the beats. I don't at all like the way he says task force. I feel like he doesn't rhyme well, and he maybe should have chosen something else. That's just my 2 cents. Really stood out to me every time I heard this track. Ultimately, though, I gave it a 4 on 5. The beat's okay. The song just felt like it's like, again, another good song that I don't appreciate because I don't feel the style as much. So instead of being a broken record, we'll just be broke plus underscore.
Minus.
That's not a minus. A minus is in the middle. That's an underscore. Isn't it an underscore?
Mostly taboo, even when it's staring back at you like an enemy tattoo. Refusing to.
So yeah, I know it has an underscore up above. I thought it was an underscore. It's apparently a minus. Whoops. Chris, how do you feel about this song?
I like how J-Rock uses the chorus to break down. He kind of broke down the word broke and represented different steps that I think is playing out in his mind, different things that he's kind of thinking about. I feel like he's kind of giving us this perspective of kind of the struggle from coming up and how the mentality is if you're poor or if you're broke, like how you kind of see things. He says something, can't rely on politics or that 1% to gain. Our daily given kibbles, let them own your life for 8 hours. Poison get waters, make it harder, safely take showers. Like, you're getting this sense that like people can't even shower properly because of poison. They're being infected.
Like in Flint, Michigan, where the water got all fucked up and shit.
Absolutely. And it's just kind of this really realness behind this track. I feel like you got this you can hear J-Rock putting this like aggravated energy into it, trying to get across this message. Like he wants to make a difference for his hood or his area. He feels like there needs to be a change in terms of living and in life. From like this broke, like this sense of being broke and this sense of like being poor. I felt it to be very hard hitting in terms of what we've heard. Gave it a 4 on 5.
I guess I really like this one because I can empathize with what it's like to come from being poor. I know I look like a middle class white dude, but I don't come from middle class white dude. I come from poor, like welfare family type shit. So like when I hear this, I recognize some of the lines of thinking. Like it's not just hood mentality. It's just poor people everywhere get this broke thinking where like you kind of get caught up in ignorance and real education and shit isn't really popular because often it's just too painful to deal with. So there's all sorts of bad traps and behaviors and shit you get caught up in. Anyway, like I like lines like, now Harriet Tubman say she freed 1,000 slaves. It could have been freed 1,000 more if they was aware of the change. We're under the rugs, remaining unexplained. Truth is mostly taboo, even if it's staring back at you like an enemy tattoo, refusing to play the statue. I take action without quitting. What I like about that is it kind of like playing up on the idea that and I'm going to make this less about race and the hood and generalize it to poor people because I really think this message extends far beyond the hood. Like it is like anybody that comes from that broke circumstances struggles with that kind of thinking where like you just because you don't necessarily end up with the right level of education or awareness, or you're not necessarily given the same books to read when you're young, or the habits that come in, you know, video games and TV becomes your babysitter because your parents are out working more or whatever, and shit like that kind of comes in. You don't have the same opportunities as other people and whatnot. And like I really, really felt like this song kind of capture the essence of his frustration with like the fact that this kind of phenomenon exists and his desire to see it change and whatnot. And he's like, I love the chorus, like B is for the blood, R is for the ropes, O is for oppression, K is for the kush, needed it just to cope, E is for evolution, it's for the resolution. Now, have you ever been broke, sick of forever losing? Yeah, man, I have. I actually know exactly what that feels like. So I understand the situation he's coming from. And unless blood meant gang, in which case, no, I don't know what it's like to be in a gang. But for the rest of it, yes, I totally get. Daily giving kibbles to let them out your life for 8 hours. Poison get to waters, make it hard safer to take showers. Nobody put in place to keep it straight, so now we slang powder. Chasing paper, aiming lasers at the opposition. Can't play with the streets and say you positive. It's a contradiction. Now that I thought was fucking interesting. So he's saying here, like, look, if you are going to be playing in this world and doing this negative kind of shit, don't also front like you're a positive person doing whatever. And especially in the rap line, like, how are you supposed to be making music about killing people and selling drugs and promoting violence and things, and then walk out there and be like, but I'm a positive and happy person? Like, there's a conflict there. There's a contradiction inside of the way of thinking and the truth of the situation. Now, this isn't like saying don't make that music or don't be that person. It's saying be honest with yourself and don't misrepresent who you are. Understand the truth of a situation. I thought this track blew me out the fucking water. This is one of the nicest songs I heard on the album. I give this a 5 on 5. I was really fucking into it. I could hear this track again, no fucking problem, because it really, maybe it's because I relate to this one, whereas in the other ones I didn't feel like I related to it, and it made me really appreciate that. I'm certain there are a large number of people who, when they hear J-Rock's music, that life parallels their own, and so when they hear these words, even the songs I don't like as much, they can appreciate and feel something that I don't for it, and I recognize that, which is why I feel like I'm being a little harsh sometimes, but not on this song. This song was fucking easy to give him a 5. Anyway, next up we got some K-Dot, we got some J-Rock, we got some lack of written words, we got, wow, a freestyle.
People, I just go and bread chase. Whoa, this so fucking dope.
I think the little, like, yo, K-Dot, kick it back to the thing is a shout out to Good Kid, Mad City and the Backstreet Freestyle on the car they were driving around in back there. I think that's what it was. So K-Dot proceeds to come in and freestyle. I like when he goes cap on and I got racks on. Spent 4 nights in the country. I'd like to then take my rich ass back home. Blow so bright I can make moonlight, and he keeps on, and then it's cool. It's swaggy. I believe him. I believe that he could do that, and I actually think that's one of the coolest things I've ever heard a rapper brag about. Like, I could just go to another country for 4 days and come home and just do that. I mean, I've heard people rap about shit like that, but that's something I like. Kendrick just like, I like that country. And it just felt so fucking basic that I dug it. Kendrick's swag there appealed to me.
Nice.
I like swerving. I pay him no mind because I curve him. She said I look way better in person. I told her I do better when I'm working. You scared motherfucker, go to churches, because I really like Go to Church. It's a really great Ice Cube song. It's okay. This was just a flossy freestyle. It came in, it did its thing. Everybody was fine. Nobody was spectacular. 3.9 on 5. I guess I just kind of like more than just flashiness when they freestyle. It just felt shallow. Like, again, it wasn't about being the best rhyming. It was about being rich. You know, like this.
Well, I mean, I think part of like the freestyle is like that's part of what a freestyle is, right? Like you want to kind of just say what's at the top of your head, but make it sound cool, make it sound nice, and have those punchlines.
Freestyle is okay. A good one. It's gonna be deep. Like take Winter Wars, Capadonna's verse. That was some deep shit.
Yeah.
You know, Then you compare it to like this, and I suppose it's like you hear damn, and then you're like, this is kind of, now if it is to go back to like Kendrick and him and that era of life when they were like fantasizing about being rich, and if that's the intent for the sake of the narrative of the album, okay, but like for my enjoyment,
like kind of hit J-Rock a little bit harder. Like he put himself up against Kendrick, and I just kind of preferred Kendrick's verses a little bit better,
I guess.
And I don't know. I feel like it is maybe paying ode to like when they used to freestyle back in the day or whatnot, but it was cool. I gave it a 3.9 as well.
Yeah, I don't know. If you guys liked it, I'd love to hear why. And this time we're gonna move on to the SZA track, Redemption.
Giving dap, I see false claimers, strangers and foes with their head in their laps.
Chris, how do you feel about this guy or girl? Or
I don't. Well, SZA's a girl.
I know, but I meant like the track. I kind of called it a guy and then remembered SZA was on it.
I don't really like the beat to this. It was okay. It didn't have anything that really caught my eye, caught my ear, or like sucked me into it. But the the kind of like the way that I feel J-Rock is like thinking and kind of reminiscing about and explaining to us like certain things he's done. Like, if I had a second chance in life, this is what I'd do. I'd buy you flowers, talk to you for hours, give you the truth. I listen to you when you're hurt. Like, you get this sense that he's trying to, again, redeem himself in terms of being maybe a better man. This is the beginning of like the second verse. The first verse, he kind of contemplates about like sipping lean, doing pills, not wanting to do that, and like getting off that if you had a second chance at life. You know, kind of like breaking down the accident a little bit and like him trying to be better now because he almost died and he doesn't want to die knowing that like he's done a bunch of negative stuff. And then takes the second part to take a moment to kind of, I guess, address the fact that like his relationship.
Yeah, like I felt like it was a little bit like, oh, woman who stayed with me even though I cheated on you and did all the worst things in the world, but when push came to shove and my accident was there,
Right.
You were the one who was down. You were the one who stood by me.
Right. And I feel like, you know, you can kind of feel like he's a little bit sorry. He's a little bit like, you know, he's trying to be that better person, but I feel like maybe his voice is a little too like rough for it, so you still kind of get this like edged type feel to it. It's nice. I don't know. As for the title track of the album, I didn't really get into it as much as I think I wanted to, or like hype myself up for it as it being like the title track. I gave it a 4. It is good, but
Sure. I mean, I never understood the significance people tie to a title track in that regard. Like, to me, the title track doesn't have to be anything more special. In fact, most of the time, it's not the hypest track on the album. In fact, I feel like it's very rare where the title track turns out to be the best fucking song on the album. I mean, there's 13 tracks on this one. There was a 1 in 13 chance you were going to like it best, you know?
For sure.
And, but thematically, this track fits, right? Because this is the pinnacle. Everything that's happened before is built up to this moment of redemption where he is lying in the hospital and you feel like it almost felt a little bit like the Eminem song where he's in the hospital and he's waking up and kind of sharing that, like a rose, the song, yeah.
Right.
And like, kind of felt like that feel, like a bit of regret, a bit of understanding for like the actions and being given the second chance and the pain he might have caused for people, like specifically his mother. And then SZA, I know everyone likes her, but I find her to have like a normal voice comparatively. Like, she doesn't stand out to me in any significant way. This chorus doesn't stand out to me in any significant way. It's nice. It's normal. It's okay. I thought the song served really well. Basically as like a good story point, like right before the end of the album. Right. It really fits the context. It is
like apologizing in a way, like I'm sorry for everything I've done.
Yeah, but it's like
better.
It is redemption.
Right,
He's showing at this point where like the redemption comes in. So in light of that, it is the best song to be the title track. It is the best song to name the album off of, I think. I give it a 4.25 because I do love his point to it. I love what the song does in terms of the global album story. It took me a couple of listens to really understand some of the earlier tracks and why they're there, but this song definitely is like the key, I think, moment. This is the climax of the album per se, but it's kind of calm and, you know, pensive and reflective and whatnot. And then, you know, after that, the battle's done, whatever. There's one more scene left to be talking about. And this one is, I think it's the second single. First one was King's Dead or whatever. The second single on the album, first real one for J-Rock. Win, 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 win.
Get room. They eyes wide, wide, wide. Third album comes soon.
I'm going to take some hate for this. I think this song is kind of like okay. I can see why a lot of people would want to celebrate to this, but it doesn't.
It has that like that energetic feel, that heavy bass, that boppiness to it.
And it kind of makes me feel like Wins and Losses by Meek Mill's, the celebratory nature of that, in terms of like maybe what he's going for and the way he comes in with this. But like, I just don't feel this one, man. I mean, I don't. The win, 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 and din, 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 and like,
the fuck about my way, yeah.
Or hit my plug just to re-up, and he was like, boop, here. And then Migo knew just what it was like, flip the whole dove and give it back, boop, yeah. And I'm like, okay. That was weird. It was just a little bit of a, and then the video, like you have Kendrick on all these ad libs, and then in the video it's just like Kendrick's the one holding the Stanley Cup. Kendrick's the one who's pushing him back to be there. Kendrick just kind of like, it's really hard to like focus on J-Rock. It's more like Kendrick's also winning, and you're very much aware that Kendrick's there.
I feel like J-Rock might acknowledge like his status in terms of the group, and is like trying to make it like a group thing to be like we're all winning.
And I totally
I'm still
respect
part
that.
of it.
But like if this is about J-Rock's winning after his redemption and shit, why is Kendrick not giving J-Rock that spotlight? You know, like, you know what I'm saying though? Like,
Well, hold on.
no, I mean, like, look at that video.
Right,
This is a
right,
J-Rock
right,
track.
yes.
Kendrick Lamar's just kind of dominating that video. Like, why can't J-Rock be holding the Stanley Cup? Then they got, like, and your diamonds like tap water, that shit too foggy, before mentioning VVS. And if you act bad, I'll bring the K outside and get your money, bitch. None of my on some funny shit. I can tell real by who you running with. I'm all in the field duck hunting shit. And I'm a little bit like, you have way more impressive bars on other tracks on this album. Look, I get this one. I get the feel of it, the energy, what he's going for. This is a celebratory song. He's like balling now. He's winning.
Well, I think he's also trying to stay like he's going to win. Like he's not, maybe not just winning yet, but like he's going to win from now. Like now that he feels like he's redeemed himself, right?
Yeah.
He's going to just consistently win, and he's going to get better and be a better person, good father, blah 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 blah.
Yeah, but like, okay, I don't know. I'm just saying, like, it's not that great to me, is I guess what I'm trying to say. I gave it a 3.5 on 5. I didn't enjoy this. I think Redemption is a cooler closing of this album. I get the point of this song, but since I can't picture myself celebrating to it, I felt like it was a little bit generic, a little bit flossier, a little bit like a less good version of some stuff I've heard before. I find it super hard to get into this one, and so that's where I'm going to end that track's talking about part.
Fair. I actually just gave it a 4. I think that the beat is hype. It's a nice closer in terms of like you get that message, and it fits, I guess, thematically, right? He's explained to us a lot of the shitty things he's done, the experiences throughout his career, his life, and now after he feels like he's redeemed himself, or he's stating that he's going to be on this quest for redemption, his first step is to win, and try to get that success feel positive about himself or even what he's doing. But yeah, the bars and the lyrics kind of are just average. Like I don't think there was any depth to it. I don't feel like there was any like heavy metaphorical bars and decrypt this and, you know, Google that, but it was a nice feel.
Yeah, it was fine. What did you give? You gave it a 4.
I gave it a 4.
Anyway, so I guess that's it for this one. We're going to wrap it up. For this album, I gave it a 4.05. It's a little bit higher than my original grade. I did like a couple of the songs more today. My overall impression of this is that it's not for me. I'm not necessarily the guy he's writing this project for. I haven't lived a lot of the experiences, but this is like, it's not very pop to me, and he tries in some places to be pop and it misses a bit, but for the most part it's very wisdom driven. He's spitting a story in blunt English. He's a little bit on a slower pace, so he makes his words count and stuff, but I don't like a lot of the beats. I don't like a lot of the feel of this album, and it's a stylistic thing, right? So I appreciate the goodness of what it is, but it's not exactly a type of rap music that I'm particularly drawn to. I prefer the more, I guess, thematic nature of like a Kendrick production, but I appreciate the fact that this Redemption album tells its tale across 13 tracks, keeping that like concept kind of alive. Every song is kind of like looking at different aspects of his personality in a younger, building up to that redemption moment, and that's really awesome. So I want to make sure that the props are given, but I could live without hearing this project again. He's definitely not one of my favorite rappers, but I respect him more than I did before hearing this project.
The album landed at a 3.9 for me. I enjoy some of the songs on the album. I think that he does, like you said, does a great telling of the story of redemption and how he's going to try to maybe work at it and be better, and letting us know like what he wants to work on and what he wants to fix in terms of the experience. Great journalistic point of views of his area, his environment, keeping that kind of like hip hoppy feel to it. But I think that for myself, I could also as well go to other albums before this project. I think that there might be more to come. Maybe a little bit. Hopefully, the next album that he makes might be a little bit better in terms of sound. My biggest thing is just a lot of the beats on this album I didn't like. A lot of the beats really just took a hit for me, and I was just I can kind of get past the lyrics in certain songs, but if the beats aren't good and I'm not coming back for anything, there's really nothing for me to come back to, you know?
Yeah, I get that. I mean, if you guys, like, how do you guys feel this compares against his other albums in general? Did it meet your expectations? Do you think this is a cool project? I mean, I imagine if you're attached to him and you're aware of his story and you've been like a fan of his for 10 years, this might be like the best project ever to you. And I'd love to hear your experiences. But on that note, thank you so much for watching.
Before we wrap up, I did want to say one thing though. I think I do like the fact that he kind of dropped it in the middle of the Kanye Rampage, because it was kind of like a nice refresher from a lot of like, I felt like Kanye gave a lot of serious music.
And
like,
and I also feel like a lot of people dodged that month of releasing stuff because they knew that they wouldn't get the numbers they wanted, which is whatever. But yeah, anyway. So yeah, thank y'all for watching. We totally appreciate it, you sticking with us through this. Don't forget to let us know in the comments what you think. I love every fucking comment. I answer everybody. Special thanks to Mozart, Lindell Williams, and Super Old School 1994. Those are our patrons. And if you want to support us and help us get better gear, better everything, improve the editing, improve fucking get a fucking real camera that can do 4K or whatever, you know, some cooler shit going on. That's a great way to help us. If not, even just subscribing and liking the video, like all the cheesy people say, that helps because it tells YouTube we're cool, and then they do have their thing in place. And yeah, and then commenting, and really, I don't know. I just if you support it, that's really awesome. If you don't, feel free to check out whatever you want. Even that you being here is just still crazy to me. So yeah, anyway, thank y'all for watching. Have yourselves a great week. Bye bye.